Welcome to QCC's Face the Region. Face the Region is produced by Quinsigamond Community College to assist our region in attaining educational, economic, and personal prosperity. Now, here's your host, WCRN's Hank Stoltz.
Good afternoon, I'm Hank Stoltz, and thank you for joining us on QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. We are joined by Dr. Dale Allen, PhD, Vice President for Community Engagement here at QCC, and Professor Jacob Longacre are back with us as well, and we're very pleased to have you here. Matter of fact, let me start with you, Professor, if I could, because we're going to be talking once again today about photonics. We're also going to be talking about some great agreements, some great partnerships that are happening, but remind us exactly what it is that we are talking about when we're talking about photonics.
Thank you, Hank. Mostly we're talking about the analogy of photon and electron. So we've had electronics where we've done lots of interesting things with what we can do with the electron. Now we're talking about the photon and photonics. So it's everything relating to light. It's everything from imagery to lasers to integrated photonics, which is actually making circuits with light, okay, and with using light as the transfer medium. And then we also have fiber optics and all the communication capability that we can do with light. So it's basically that entire package. It's all the things that we can do with light that we keep progressing and how we can work them together.
Now, one of the reasons that we're here today, too, is because we have an exciting agreement that QCC has done. And Dr. Allen, why don't I turn to you to tell us a little bit about this agreement then? I'll have you pull that mic just a little bit closer. But yeah, give us the lowdown on this.
So I will do that. AIM Photonics, it's a national manufacturing institute that was announced recently by Vice President Joe Biden, where we are partnering with 8 research universities, 10 states, and the federal government through the Department of Defense on a $610 million effort to create an ecosystem that supports the future of photonics and integrated photonics manufacturing. And as one of our CEO partners, Michael Deterando from INCOM down in Charlton would say, electrons and computer systems and the use of electrons was the last 100 years of manufacturing and technology and innovation. The next 100 years are going to be centered on light and photons. Wow. And so this is the $610 million effort where Quinsigamond Community College is the national lead for community colleges. Is centered on an idea of creating an ecosystem to scale new research and development that meets not only the Department of Defense needs, but creates and spurs new industry, a new industry sector, and new advancements in industry so that our economies actually will be better off. And our role is to help scale the right training, technology-enabled curriculum and modules, not only at the community college level and develop that in concert with industry leaders, but our research university partners. So in the future, that we would have a network of 40 to 50 community colleges who are participating where there's a labor market need to train people, and that students can go get a job if they want to and have a great career, a high-paying career in future industries, and or transfer on to one of these research universities like Massachusetts Institute of Technology, who's our key partner in all of this stuff, and go on to a 4-year or a graduate degree. So we're actually building a stackable pipeline in the education delivery, and then we'll scale it nationally. So that's QCC's role in this exciting partnership.
Wow. Well, congratulations to QCC for being selected to take the lead on this. I think one of the things that we learn each week here, Dr. Allen, is that some of our maybe preconceptions of what a community college is and it does are not, for 2015, they just aren't, it just isn't what a community college is anymore. I mean, when we're talking about photonics, when we're talking about being on the cutting edge, when we're talking about being part of this great initiative, and then going on and being part of the pipeline with MIT, for example, if somebody was a community college student 30 years ago and now their son or daughter is getting ready to come here, or 40 years ago, they may not understand everything that is happening here at QCC.
Well, I hope you're wrong. I think you might be right, though, for the majority of listeners. And community colleges today, they're about innovation and advancement. They're the first choice in terms of value, in terms of the higher education marketplace. And we're seeing a huge influx of students over the last 5 years in particular that are choosing community colleges, not only at Quinsigamond, but across the country. And the ability for us to work with our industry partners locally. The State Office of Economic Development, I should also say, is a huge partner on this AIM Photonics. They're one of the 10 states investing heavily in the future economic development here. And they know, as our partners do in the industry, community colleges are the institutions that are able to provide new programming, stackable in this case with technology-enabled components, to deliver to meet their workforce needs and be market-paced as opposed to maybe institutional-paced. And so community colleges are becoming the first choice, and at QCC we pride ourselves on shortening that distance for a student or an industry partner to get what they need out of education. So that could be a less than 1 year certificate, or an associate's degree, or a transfer on to a 4-year degree at one of our institutional partners. And that is, I think, what community colleges are all about, is that economic vitality that rests with that access to education.
Yeah, making those jobs and keeping them local as well in all of these communities. Professor Longacre, you're obviously exciting here and then going to be rolled out really for these other 50, 60 community colleges as well. Your take then, as you're preparing these students, you have this awesome responsibility. How are you preparing these students? What is it that they're getting from your class?
I think the big thing that we're trying to look at is, as Dale had said, we're dealing with the whole idea that you have to not only develop the technology, but you have to have the ecosystem, the infrastructure to support that. And what we're really looking at is how can we provide that infrastructure and how can we tie it in with the world that we're dealing with, so that we want to deal with teaching photonics and having students learn it, but we also want them to learn it in the perspective of all the things that it's going to be integrated with, so that we have photonics in terms of, as I said, in terms of computing, in terms of imaging, in terms of lasers, and all those things are going to be integrated with electronics and with mechanics and aerodynamics, all the things, all the technologies that we have. And the person who's actually doing the work on this has to be at least aware of how all these things work together. So that's the kind of thing that we're trying to bring students up to speed with, so that they're not just dealing with a given area and don't know anything about what's around it.
And straight ahead, I want to get your take also just on the importance of the agreement overall as well, how you think it'll affect you going ahead. I'll do that straight ahead right here on Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN continues, and we're speaking with Dr. Dale Allen. He's the Vice President for Community Engagement here at QCC. Also, Professor Jacob Longacre is with us as we talk about photonics. We were just talking about this wonderful agreement. Tell me, from your perspective then, Professor, and locally as you deal with the students here at QCC, what do you see as the importance of this agreement?
Well, I feel that this is something that the whole concept here is to get the photonics technology moving and get it to grow to be able to handle this world where we're really going to need the photonics systems. And for us, this is a great opportunity so that this area and QCC can be involved in the ground floor of this development. We can help to shape how this can be formed and make sure that the middle skills jobs and things like that QCC is very strong in supporting can be heavily involved and recognized as an important part, instead of just developing it from above and slowly letting it filter down.
So, Dr. Allen, so tell me that QCC, and again, congratulations on this and being picked for this, but how did it all come about? Give us a little behind the scenes.
Yeah, we are very fortunate to be asked to be involved and to take on a leadership role nationally with this. And I think it stems, from when Gail Carberry came here as president about 9 years ago, really came in with this vision of being extremely entrepreneurial as an institution, and really have two goals based on our mission, which is to remove barriers for students to increase their success to the career pathways or transfer that they'd like, and secondly, to meet the needs of industry through collective partnerships with that. And so about 5 years ago, we started to have strategic alliances with our Workforce Investment Board locally, our one-stop career center, Workforce Central here in Central Mass, and the Massachusetts Manufacturing Extension Partnership as well. But with the WIBs and one-stops, we actually developed a model of strategic alliances to remove barriers for students and increase success. And we actually turned that into a $20 million Department of Labor TACT program called the Transformation Agenda, where all 15 community colleges, all the WIBs, all the one-stop career centers, and the state secretaries that oversee them and their state agencies partnered together for the last 4 years to do just that: remove barriers for student success, use systems approaches, and develop technology-enabled curriculum and modules that are stackable, so a student can take these 6 components and go get a job that's in demand, or they can continue on or come back and go on to a certificate or an associate's degree later on, or on to a bachelor's degree. And that model has garnered our state and our efforts as a leader of that, as QCC, a lot of attention. And so with Massachusetts Institute of Technology, as this AIM Photonics effort was going on, it's actually led, the lead institution is actually out of the State University of New York system, out of SUNY Polytechnic. And MIT advocated for us to be the National Community College lead, and they asked us to do that, to replicate our model with the transformation agenda, to facilitate on a regional and national level the participation of faculty and industry and workforce investment boards and MEPs. In this case, we've added them in. So Massachusetts MEP locally now is a formal partner of AIM Photonics. Again, another national leader, in my opinion, of delivering programming to meet industry needs, and a great partner of ours. And so we now have had this great opportunity to lead that, put together the model of how that would be done. We'll have an AIM Academy that will be done annually, where we'll have an original cohort of about 15 institutions, and every year we'll add in another 10 or 20 from around the country to participate with us. And those faculty and industry and 4-year research partners will actually develop these technology-enabled curriculum components. And the one other partner that's really cool and exciting is edX. edX is a national, international entity that does massive open online courses that's gotten a lot of attention, and that's a partnership between MIT and Stanford and others. So they're actually going to be assisting us in developing these technology-enabled modules. And so people like Jacob will actually be the ones who develop these modules and get the technology-enabled components. And then Jacob can choose to use 6 of those 20 modules in his curriculum in the future. And they're available free, open educational resource. And so it's really exciting that we were asked, we're in a leadership role. Increasingly, QCC is being asked to continue in these leadership roles and in a broader way. We're actually positioned in the same way with another National Manufacturing Institute that will be announced in another couple months. And if that works out, we'll be kind of doing the same kind of role for a whole nother industry sector, critical to the state of Massachusetts and its economy, to help support it and the training and pathways that are needed.
Well, it's fascinating. Again, QCC, right in the lead and right on the cutting edge. Hey, much more to come. And Dr. Dale Allen with us, Professor Jacob Longacre with us, as well as we talk about photonics on Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. I'm Hank Stoltz. This is QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. We've been talking with Dr. Dale Allen. He's the Vice President for Community Engagement here at QCC. Also, we've been joined by Professor Jacob Longacre. And Professor, I want to bring it back to you if I could. As Dr. Allen was just telling me about, we have all of this access for students. He was giving us this overview. Give it to me for QCC, for local, right here in Central Mass.
Locally, what we're really interested in doing is tying together the manufacturers and the job producers, the employers, and connecting them with the students. What we're interested in doing is getting these as real jobs and real things that our students can do, so that we can actually connect the students and the employers and make sure that everybody is working together, that we're not going off in some direction that doesn't make sense.
What are some of those jobs right now, for example?
Right now there are jobs that are in the areas of electronics and engineering and laser technology. There are jobs in glass work, so in optical materials, and there are jobs in fiber optics and communications. So those are some of the jobs that are there right now. And we're expecting these to expand, especially in the integrated areas, in the areas such as working in electronics and photonics.
Well, one of the things that it seems to me that QCC does very well is through the certificate programs that have been mentioned, some of the other degrees, and now getting into the pipeline where you can go to MIT and some other places. But it does seem as if QCC has always done a very good job of seeing what the needs of Central Massachusetts are, training students, and then they stay here locally. So these jobs are local jobs?
Yes. These are jobs in the Worcester, Marlborough, and especially in the Southbridge area. And so we're especially trying to focus on those areas to give the local employers local employees that they can use so that there can be an easy match, a direct match, so that we're not having the employers aren't having to do wide searches and the local people are getting the work.
Now, when you talk about kind of matching this up, I mean, do you literally talk to the employers in the
Yes.
area? And so you have a point where you actually sit down with them and
Correct.
face to face?
We've done that both on an informal basis where I've gone around and talked to different employers, and we're also trying to form groups so that we can have a continuing process here so that we don't just lose it. And Dale's been working more on that end of it.
Yeah, and I think what Jacob just described is many of our faculty members, especially in the technology areas, work directly with individual employers, and then we have advisory boards that are more formal for other processes who meet maybe twice a year to validate things. What we've tried to do is have leadership groups that are by region or geography or by industry sector. And in this case, with the photonics, integrated photonics related work, we've been working on Innovative Technology Acceleration Center for the Southbridge region and tied to our Worcester campus. And again, with the same partners I mentioned before, like Mass MEP and some of the four-year institutions, we've been sitting down with about 30 business leaders or other representatives of their companies, not to talk about the curriculum details, because that needs to happen. That's one of our teams that gets worked on, like by Jacob's just described, but with the CEOs or their designees to talk about, hey, at IPG Photonics, this is a company that if you looked at an automobile plant and saw the assembly line, you see the robotic lasers that are doing the cutting, welding, and piecing together of the frame of a car. That's IPG Photonics. They're robots and lasers that are doing the majority of that equipment around the world. They have sites in 8 countries. Their headquarters are in Oxford, Massachusetts. They need about 80 individuals today to be photonics or electronics with a certificate, and they'll make about $50,000 for a job. Wow. We've invested in faculty and technology and infrastructure. We're participating in AIM Photonics, and they are right there with us as industry partners and leads with a self-interest, which is a trained workforce and a local workforce, but they advise us on the type of facilities we want to build. You're going to see a lot of growth, hopefully in the next year or two, with new facilities that have state-of-the-art research and development components and equipment that will allow smaller companies to access this, and then we can help train people, or those four-year partners can train with us. But it's all done in a partnership model with leadership groups, so those industries are represented.
Wow, good, high-paying jobs. Hey, I happen to know that the two of you were in Houston recently. What was was this a secret project, or can we talk a little bit about that?
No, we can talk about it. This in the line with this national leadership and recognition. We were asked by a national organization called National Association of Community College Entrepreneurship, whose interest is to make and help institutions be more entrepreneurial and infuse entrepreneurial activities into curriculum, across curriculum, helping start new jobs, incubating them, integrating them in, again, a curriculum across the schools. And so it's a national organization, and we've led an effort to have a discussion with MassChallenge, which is a business startup incubation site, world renowned now. It's the largest in the world. It's out of Boston. And they came to QCC and said, would you be willing to be the guinea pigs? And we're partnering with IPG Photonics, and Jacob was selected with IPG to work with them to do a rapid curriculum development project that uses the traditional way I just described of how a college develops programming with industry, but amps it up with MassChallenge's technical assistance, where we can embed Jacob and IPG there together at MassChallenge, use their methodology, which if you're a startup incubation company that gets selected by them, you actually go and stay there for 3 months, have access to venture capitalists, technical assistance, you have a fab lab, you have IT equipment, all the stuff you couldn't pay for yourself, and you get help with your business startup and your planning and marketing and communications, all available to you, so that you go from nothing or an idea 3 months later to over $1 million in venture capital and startup resources and technical assistance. We want to bring that model to higher education and community colleges. So Jacob and QCC were selected to be the national pilot, and we're going to facilitate the national program that will go on with about 20 colleges and industry partners from around the country this summer. The first wave will come in.
Professor Yell, let me give you the last word, because we only have about a minute left, but how exciting what Dr. Allen just described.
This is very exciting for me because it's a chance for both the school to be entrepreneurial and for us to play in that world. Part of the difficulty is that MassChallenge works on about a 3-month, 4-month schedule, and if we aren't able to operate within that pace, we can't play. So we want to be able to operate in that pace and help the entrepreneurial companies that are building up for tomorrow's work.
Boy, that's fantastic. Hey, thank you both so much for being here, for talking to us about this. And congratulations again for all these exciting things that are happening at QCC, for being selected for these pilot programs, for really being community college leader in the nation. It's very exciting times at QCC. Joining us today in conversation was Professor Jacob Longacre. Also, Dr. Dale Allen was with us, and I am Hank Stoltz. This is QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
This has been Quinsigamond Community College's Face the Region with your host, Hank Stoltz. Join us again next weekend on AM 830 WCRN.